So I'm Sam, I'm from UCL, and I'm part of the Science, Engineering and Public Policy department at UCL on the Faculty of Engineering. And so today we're going to present to you our, what we think the future of the government will look like. So the way that we view, we approach public policy is through taking a systems approach. We take a very engineering and science view on how to tackle public policy, and we do this by looking at all kinds of complex problems and taking a 35,000 foot view of what is going on. This helps us get a bigger understanding of more complex problems. Things like malnutrition, aging populations, mass unemployment, as something like Elon Musk talked about yesterday, climate change, water sanitation, things like this. And so we've tried to prioritize looking at complex problems as the way that governments will be able to look into the future. And so our idea for this is something we've called fluid government. The idea for this is that it's organized around expertise rather than organized around departments. And the expertise is to tackle the problems that we've kind of highlighted before. It will use unsupervised machine learning, and that's something whereby you're not telling a machine or a computer how to understand what is going on. It works out its own, it draws out tags and themes from discourse between officials and experts within departments across the whole government, and then it takes that information and tries to calculate it into different types of networks based on similarities and differences. And these other data inputs can also come from citizens as well. So through citizen consultations and stakeholder engagement, the machines will be able to understand what is valued and how these things are linked. So you get a better appreciation for the complexity of these problems, and that they're not in isolation and they're not to be treated separately. This is based on similar concepts like Democracy OS is currently another platform which is using a similar structure for this. We also thought about the idea of tiger teams, where you have experts come in to work tackle a specific event to tackle a specific problem, and kind of using this kind of expertise-focused approach to tackling complex problems, rather than having a siloed situation within departments, within governments at the moment, where very often you have lots of people working on the same thing, but they're very isolated between each other. So to kind of work how it might work, we thought about having, so green infrastructure as an example. You have a finance department which might be looking at green investment to try and encourage green infrastructure. You might have an energy department looking at ways that green roofs and green walls can help insulate buildings to reduce or to make buildings more energy efficient. You have departments like the environment looking at biodiversity and ecology approaches to green infrastructure, and then you have water, which may be looking at it to mitigate floods and things like this. And so we felt that, like in this instance, these people probably communicate. Several experts within these departments are probably talking to each other or working on similar issues. They may be even engaged in similar stakeholders as well, and engaging with citizens in a similar way. If they're trying to put a new park or some other kind of green infrastructure in an area, then this may be something that they're working on together, like same kind of topic, but doing it separately. And the idea is that the machine learning will recognize that these people are all talking about the same types of issues, and it would aggregate them in a way that you'd be able to visualize this through like a network analysis. That would then indicate to the people within government that actually we can group these people together to tackle this issue rather than having them tackle it individually through their departments. It would help improve resource efficiency, and it would also help you tackle the complex problems from a more interdisciplinary approach. This is something we've seen throughout the whole summit, is that actually we have many different people here from all kinds of backgrounds, geographically and professionally, and tackling these problems needs that kind of interdisciplinary approach, which can be facilitated through this fluid learning. So following that, we would organize it by green infrastructure and have the various experts from the different departments who are working on green infrastructure organized that way, rather than organized within their departments. The way that we see this going is that you would slowly train the civil servants and the government to become less attached to their departments, and the actual experts would own their expertise. So rather than trying to join the Ministry of Agriculture, for example, you become an expert in agricultural technology, and that is where your value is. And so you own your expertise so that you can then work on other complex problems. The nature of the machine learning is that in an unsupervised fashion, is that it will constantly be taking data and input and communications, and so that these communications will be constantly evolving. So it will happen over time that perhaps something like green infrastructure becomes, in a certain area, maybe really become agriculture focused. Perhaps urban agriculture will really take off. And then actually you have people from the agricultural departments who also need to become involved in this project. And so it would be constantly improving the data, and it would happen gradually over time so that the experts would be able to tailor their approaches to these problems much better. And there are some drawbacks, of course. Either very often departments have a lot of turf that they are very protective over. They have their own resources, their own budgets. They have their own experts they don't want to let go or move to other departments. And that's something that we recognize is an issue, but it would be something that would require lots more training from departments, and also lots of data scientists and analysts to help interpret this data, and also then to communicate this to the policy makers as well. And this can be something that the data scientists, it's a fairly new field in that sense. Something which like the youth populations are very much engaged in and are being trained for. And so it would help in some countries where that's a big of an issue at the moment, it would help provide jobs for these people as well. So that's just one of the challenges that we're thinking about at the moment. Again, the technology is complex, but it does, we could get there, especially by 2050. We considered looking at a problem-focused approach, but actually we realized that humans are much better at taking a value-based approach to understanding what these problems are and how to assess the solutions to improve them, rather than having the system determine what that might be. And that's the premise of how we think the future of government will be, is that we think it's going to be fluid, and we think that it's going to just, it will be using this kind of machine learning to improve how we tackle these complex problems from a systems view. And that is all.